So I'm going to come up with an idea that just a sort of river landscape. So there's my river. So that's the river. We'll have some long grass and so on growing here. Maybe a tall tree here that will act as a stop and gives us a nice reflection. Maybe just carry that off the bank, and then we'll maybe have the sun here, which will give us some reflections, and then some other trees. So there we are. That's my plan. Keep it simple. The important thing is I've got a plan, and it's in my head. That on my workshops I tend to do a little thumbnail sketch or something to try and help explain what I'm thinking, because obviously from that sketch you're not going to get a great deal. But I shall talk to you about how to create some nice watercolors. So yellow and purple, opposite end of the color wheel. So when I mix those together, I'll get a neutral. So keep it out of that yellow because there's the haziness around the sun. I think we'll go for a soft sun. So let's just use clean water and just, that'll do. And continue that purple. Should be using a bigger brush, but I'll work quick. Be okay. So if I mix the yellow and the purple together, I'm going to get this lovely kind of misty neutral color. Probably make it more yellowy at the bottom as the sun is perhaps going down. While the paper is wet like this, you can continue to mix and mess about on the paper, but as soon as it starts to dry, that's it, you've got to stop. So there we go. There's our misty looking sky. I need to just dab the sun. No, nearly disappeared. So I'll just use my finger on a bit of dry tissue. Put it back in. Same for the water's edge. So I'm just using a bit of Hansa yellow or cadmium yellow there. I've got actually a bit mixed in together there. But I don't really worry too much about names of colours or anything like that. That it's just yellow. Is it a warm yellow or is it a cool yellow? Doesn't really matter. You can get too worried about things like that, and it stops you from just painting how you want to paint. If you worry about what brushes you should be using or whatever, as long as you're using good quality brushes and good quality paper, you'll be fine. So let's go for painting some trees. So again, color wise, just make a dark tone, maybe purple, bit of yellow ochre. The important thing is the thickness of paint. That needs to be a lot thicker than what I've just painted, because the papers are very wet. So whatever I put on here is going to disperse to pretty much nothing. But as I'm going for perhaps a misty look, that will work quite well. I've got these pencil marks, but they're not designed to fence me in. And I'll just come down and paint underneath. And another tree there, maybe with something there, and obviously that's going to have a shadow, not a shadow, a reflection there, and something else around there. Perhaps around where the sun is, it's going to lose a little bit of definition. And we could actually just clean my brush off. So it's just a damp brush of clean water. Just try and lift a little bit out of there. Actually clean it each time you do that, and perhaps just do it once or twice, that you don't want to be fiddling with it. So it's all still very wet into wet and fading away to pretty much nothing. And the paper's starting to dry here now. Just creating maybe the illusion of the water. Bit of an angle there really. See if we can straighten things up a little bit. Pull that down. Not to fiddle too much with it. So we'll let that continue to dry. While that is drying, I shall just mix up again thicker paint, even thicker still. That's pure paint straight from the tube really, and just suggest a few bits of detail now where we're getting some dry paper. We've got a good mix of dry and soft paper here, and this is where you kind of just got to let it mix and don't fiddle with it. Take care of any shapes that you want to create. So bear in mind, whatever you do up there will affect what's going on below. We got something there. Just take some of that paint off. Trees are a nightmare. There's a stage, which is the only way you can do to learn this is to paint watercolors, that you can do this, fiddle about with it, but there is a stage where it just will suddenly start to become a mess. You start lifting the old, the paint layers off and so on. So my advice is just keep painting as much as you can, and you'll learn all these different stages of when you can and can't do things, and what you can get away with. So all that dries, let's just take a thirsty brush, which is just a brush that's been cleaned off, squeeze the excess water off, make sure I've got no water on the brush to drop down, and now let's just lift out a little bit of water there, a little ripple on the water. Not too many, maybe 3 is plenty. So we can now let that dry. Need a real dark. So to get a dark, you do need thick paint. That I think pans, are not ideal for doing these kind of scenes because you need wet paint like this, which is why I use tubes for the style of painting I do. So a nice dark. So this is really thick stuff. I need thick stuff to get the dark, and just by using the brush like this, I'm getting these brass looking marks. So a little bit more water, just paint that up into there. So remember, this is watercolor, it's not oil painting. And now I shall just connect some of those up. And I'm going to go using this Pro Art 9A sword brush, which is really good for doing stuff like this. And if you want to have a go at this yourself, you can use my painting here as a reference. And if you're on Patreon, obviously I'll be posting these pictures on there, so you've got the good references. And if you join Loose Watercolours With Me Facebook group, you can share your paintings on there, or even better, come and join me on Patreon. And You have access to all the videos I've got on there, hundreds of them. Let's have a longer ones there, just keep the eye in the painting here. And just the odd longer one there. So we've got the darks and the lights. And you could paint this scene over and over again with slightly different trees, you know, and you could just keep going forever and ever. It's a great way to learn your materials. And I always put birds in my scenes. Birds flying over there. I think that's probably all it needs. So let's dry that off. So very quick, but that's watercolour. When you understand your materials, you can paint them very quickly. And so all those years of practice and all those mistakes you make, they do pay off. So never worry about a failed watercolour painting, because it's just getting you to where you need to be. And there'll be plenty of failed ones. I've got loads. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed that. Hit the like and subscribe. If you're watching this on Patreon, thanks for being there on Patreon. It really helps and keeps me painting. So see you on the next one.